Hi, and welcome to the show Podium. And we're on session 059 and the last part of a beautiful series that I've been joined with special guest Andy Winter. And I'll just read his bio. Andy has been an educator, administrator and coach for over 30 years. He encountered Dickon Bettinger and Sydney Banks 25 years ago, and his life and his work changed dramatically. Since then, he has worked with adults, children, couples, schools, athletes and teams in an effort to help them better understand their innate health, wisdom, and live, work and play with greater joy. Andy is the director of the Centre for Insight and Change in Brattleboro, Vermont, where he works sharing the principles behind the human experience. He also continues his practice as a tennis pro. Now we're right at the end of a beautiful conversation, and Andy asks me a question. And I'm not going to repeat it now. I'm just going to go straight over to the interview now.
So in your experience working with folks and pointing them in this direction, I mean, I'm just always curious how you find, how you help, I don't know, maybe these aren't the right questions, but so, you know, we grow up, we're young athletes or we're older athletes, it doesn't matter, but we're athletes and we grow up in a world where, like, you know, we have this idea of what we want to achieve and what we want to get to and things we have to do to get there. And then someone comes along and says, well, okay, that's great, but, you know, let me talk about this a little bit. And so how do you find, what have you found that's most helpful for people to, in seeing this, and seeing what we're talking about, and seeing that there's that if we can get our, kind of our ego, all its thoughts about ourselves and all these ideas, like if we can like see the innocence, not really real, and if we can see that these goals, these things we make up, as long as they're on our mind, we're not as present as we are when we're doing whatever it is we're trying to do. Like, are there ways you found that are really helpful and for people to relax into this understanding more? I mean, ways isn't the right word, I guess, but
I think when I saw that instead of teaching the principles to people, I saw that we are the principles in action and that they're playing out anyway. And in that, I was able to point people to times in their lives where they absolutely love stuff. You know, or they love that feeling. And then to help them to see, well, it's not really coming from the thing you think you love. It's actually just an expression coming through you when you're doing that in that moment. And then to help them to connect with those times when they're feeling really calm and loving something. They don't have a lot on their mind at that time. And that's not to say, Andy, that other times it will be, well, yeah, I was really busy, and then out of the blue, this showed up, and it's, well, what do you make of that then? And it's that then helps them to see that it's there all the time. You know, wisdom, innate health, whatever you want to call it, is there always. And it really showed up for me when I was really kind of on my backside in terms of my career. I guess the answer to the question really, I think, is, and just certainly thinking about a group of university athletes I'm working with now, the thing that they started to see quite quickly is their individual separate reality, that no matter the results of the game, they would all have a different experience of it. And if that's the case,
What's up with that, right?
If that's the case, then it can't be coming from the result. And then the experience becomes optional and not inevitable given the circumstances. And that, I think, has been quite shocking to them. And actually, the words that come up, and these are 18 to 22-year-olds, the words that have come up are weird. That's that even fearful of it, actually. And, we've had to stay in the conversation with them a little bit longer. The notion that there is nothing out there. Actually, we are projecting reality into the world. And that personality and beliefs are just constructs of our mind and are changing all the time, and that's not who we really are. Or it's a temporary illusion of who and what we are. Yeah, it's each group is quite different, I would say. But when we look at sports performance, a lot of performers can really relate to that state of mind when everything just flowed, when they felt they were not there. And so you've got a great starting point. Because that's really very pure in that time when the personal mind is very quiet. And what do they make of the fact that it just happened anyway, irrespective of them trying to make it happen, which helps us point towards you don't need to control and manage the content of your thinking in that case, because actually performance can come through you in any case.
Right. Yeah, because that can so easily become a new goal.
Yeah.
I have to get quiet. And then if people recognize, well, they're not quiet right now, then they feel like their performance is going to be inhibited. But that's just another thing to do. And it's not. It's just yeah. It's funny because a person who I don't know as an athlete was one of the people really helpful for me in coaching. And it's Linda Pransky.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you spent much time with Linda, but my wife and I did internships there years and years ago with the Pranskys for nearly a month. We stayed and we worked with their staff every day, and we were apprentices with them. And just what a lovely experience it was. And I remember at one point Linda was working with a couple. She was working with a bunch of different couples, and I was with her, and she said we were talking about it, and she said, I was kind of stunned by her approach because it was I could tell she had she said, well, I asked her about sort of what she thinks about as she goes in, and she said, well, I just know that at any moment, if I look in this direction and point them in this direction of the inside out experience of life, that they can have an insight that's so profound their life changes instantly. She said, and I expect it to happen. Right? I live in that anticipation of that happening. Like she teaches from that place. Anyway, so she said she teaches from that place, and And I said, well, does it always happen? And she said, of course not.
No.
And I said, well, doesn't that bother you then if you had the expectation? And she said, why would I let it bother me? That would only get in the way of me helping.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's like that, right? It's like, so the idea of expectation, which had become kind of an idea in my head that was a negative idea, but it's not an attachment to it as an outcome. It's more like the excitement of knowing that at any moment, and that at all moments, the wisdom the wisdom of life is flowing through me and expressing itself. Right? That is unavoidable. And that there's sometimes when it's so, I guess it's always matched with what I'm doing, but there's sometimes when it's so obvious that in sport that performance is at a completely another level.
Wow, another wonderful conversation with Andy Winter. And I didn't really cut it very much, so I left it in its purest conversation, chit-chat form. And you'll notice that there are times when we go quiet, and for me, a lot of the power in this work is in those spaces. And it's not really about the words we're using, because we're only expressing what occurs to us to say, because it's not in the words. It's in this feeling that we have when we are describing it using the words. And so I hope you really enjoyed the last of our series with Andy. And if you would like to get hold of Andy Winter, you can do at www.Centre for Insight and Change. And if you'd like to get hold of myself, then you could just drop me an email on denise.holland@class-performance.com. And that just leaves me to wish you a wonderful time, and I look forward to learning and sharing with you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.